I don't know.
Hey folks, how's it? See, this is why you needed to turn your sound off, John. Hey folks, how's it going out there? Great to see everybody out there. John Rudy here, and
John Tobiasen.
And we are the two-part team of Indepth, and we want to welcome you here to Mather Training Center and Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. So it's great to have you folks here. We've got some really fun content for you today. Too many cooks. What is
too many cooks?
Too many cooks. You chose a bad key. That's the problem.
Too many cooks. Yeah,
Too
well, you're professional
many
singer.
cooks.
See, this is why you're on straight.
Yeah,
on the other side,
yeah,
the music side.
Art versus
you're
science.
into that. No.
This will all make sense in just a second. Don't worry. So how's everybody doing out there? Hopefully you're having a great day wherever you are. We're having a great day up here on the hill. It's actually halfway warm. It's starting to actually feel like spring in Harpers Ferry.
It's gonna be 60.
It's gonna be 60. We're going to push the 60-degree mark.
John's wearing short sleeves.
I am always wearing short sleeves. I'm a New Yorker. I'm always wearing short sleeves because nothing is too cold for me.
He's hardcore.
Sure, whatever. All right, so without further ado, let's just get into this. So I'm going to share my screen, and it may look like some kind of whoa. There we go. All right, so today we're talking about team building and too many cooks. So I want to introduce our team, and our team is very simple. We've got John Tobias in there, and I have the wrong font on here apparently. So John T there.
That's nice.
And then John Rudy, and of course this is our two-person team, and that's really how we run this. We've run this Indepth Indepth for quite a while with a two-person team, which is kind of cool. It's kind of exciting, and part of the reason we do this is that we work together well. So actually, Craig Glassner calls it this. He says it's time for the John and John show. I love this phrasing, but it's a little bit misleading, I think, because it's not just the John and John show. We'll get into that a little bit later. But we've all got these, don't we? I mean, we all have those favorite teams, those teams we look to. And sometimes it's duos, I personally love the Tim and Gary show up at Gettysburg. Two battlefield guides that do these amazing things out in the field. And then you've got, Laurel and Hardy and Abbott and Costello. I'm not saying that we are Abbott and Costello by any stretch of the imagination, but you could sometimes dream. This is a team. The two of us is a team. And today we're talking about building a team. So I thought the best way to look at building a team would actually be to dissect our team and to play with our team to see what works. And one of the things that I think really works about our team is that we share ethics. We share the mode of thinking that we enter this conversation with. We both have some diversity, some difference in our background, but we come to this with a similar spirit. We come with similar skills, but we come with differentiated skills too, skills that can fill in for one another, and abilities. So it's really the ethics, the skills, and abilities that I look to when we're looking at our team of two. So, okay, let's look at this team of two. John and I are very different people. First of all, he's like 7 feet taller than I am, and he's got.
Or John is just very, very short.
Yeah, it's one way or the other. And John actually combs his hair sometimes, and I don't ever. He's always got the Lego man.
I have enough to care.
Yeah, you've got enough to care. I'm losing it up top.
No.
Yes. So we're different, but our differences really play off of one another. John can be very practical for a lot of the situations that we find ourselves in, whereas I end up more in the dreamy philosophical end. And you guys have felt that if you've played in this Indepth realm. We start with the philosophical with me talking, and then we'll head on after my philosophical to the broad and practical. We are operational versus theoretical. I work in a place of ideas, a world of thought and insubstantial application. And John is all about application, whether it's creating apps with parks or helping to manage the National Park Service's social media presence. So I'm the dreamer, he's the doer. And to go along with that, he's a very technical thinker. And when I think of John, I think of someone that can get stuff done for me. Whereas I'm a very spontaneous thinker. I just kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks and don't worry about what fails. And kind of in that same If you've ever seen me in a meeting with John next to me, sometimes he's holding me back because I'm a very frenetic person. And I jump in. I jump in on a whim, whereas John is very staid. He's very controlled. He's able to keep his temper and to keep his ideas in check, which is really useful to have that sitting next to me and say, John, no, that's a bad idea. That's an absolutely bad idea. Don't do that. Do something better.
Don't post that, John.
Yeah, don't post that, John. How many times do I hear that a month? Don't post that, John.
Stop it.
And really, I think this boils down to kind of each of us has a different fundamental look at how our brains work. I live more in the arts realm, and in fact, that's when I was studying history. I have a bachelor's of arts. It's not a bachelor's of science and history. We weren't about statistics. We weren't about ethnography. We were about finding human stories and painting the canvas. And John comes from the publishing world, kind of.
I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Well, yes, you have a Bachelor in Fine Arts.
Yeah, but it's a graphic design, multimedia world. Yeah.
Exactly, which is a very different world. It's still a creative world, but it's a creative world within very set strictures for a product you know what it's going to look like at the end. A historian that's playing from the arts realm probably doesn't know what it's going to look like at the end. John needs to make a unigrid, and so he knows what it's going to look like to some extent. But I think that ethics-wise, we share one big word: experimentation. Neither of us is afraid of trying stuff out. Whether we're trying it out in controlled fashions or frenetic fashions, in practical fashions or philosophical fashions, we both share that core ethic. And it's that core ethic that we've found makes our team really work. I bounce ideas off of John, he bounces ideas off of me, and we don't let each other stall the idea out completely. We both want to experiment. We are a team of two. Team of two is an awful idea. It's an absolutely terrible idea. It is perhaps the worst idea you could possibly come up with. We're talking about team building, right? Well, when you have a team of two, you have a single point of failure. If one person trips, if John disappears, Indepth Indepth doesn't happen, which means if his son gets sick and his wife can't stay home to watch the kids,
almost happened today.
It almost happened today. Either we're doing this from his living room, or it's not going to happen. And doing it from your living room sounds actually kind of fun. Your kids are great, so I'm not averse to that.
And we have Abraham Lincoln and Washington on the wall. So
yes.
Like that.
So and your good coffee joints, but single points of failure are very bad when you're building a team. You don't want that to happen, which means that if your social media presence in the Park Service is being managed by one or two people, it's probably going to fail at some point, at some critical juncture. When you need to get content up, if you've only got one person that's got the keys or two people that have got the keys, it ain't going to work, and something's going to go haywire. So how can we fight this? Well, actually, I'm lying to you. I've been lying to you this whole time. John and I are not a team of two. John and I have never been a team of two. People like to look at us like we are one person that's a team of two. They call it the John and John Show, and thank you, Craig. We love the moniker. But frankly, we're not a team of two. And we can just cross that two right out. We are a team of a heck of a lot. And it's impossible to figure out exactly what this team looks like. But I'm going to try. So if this is Indepth, we have too many cooks. And as anybody that's watched the video, and I'll try to put it down here in the link section underneath us after the session. I'll try to get it in there for you so you can come back and watch it. But as the lyrics to the theme song, Too Many Cooks say, the saying goes, it will spoil the broth, honey. I think that's not true. Well, maybe too many cooks will spoil the broth, but they'll fill our hearts with so much love. You know, we love our community. We love the Indepth community. And we have too many cooks. That's not a bad thing. It may spoil the broth sometimes. We may have arguments. But you know what? We create some damn good meetings. So what is the next level beyond just the two of us? Well, we have our instructor corps. And a lot of you folks that have taken the base course of digital media for interpreters have met these folks. We rotate in and out. We reference them constantly. Dave Restivo, Neil Herbert, Craig Glassner, and then Amber Schmiegel, Greg Schein.
Michael Lynn.
Yeah, you name them. Stephanie
Loeb.
Loeb.
She keeps changing her
yeah.
name. Sorry, Steph.
So we have this vibrant instructor core.
There's more. There's more people.
Yeah, there's tons of people, and we could try to name them off, and we just did,
Karen
and
Henker,
we're missing tons of people. Karen, yeah, John's just going to keep going. And then everybody that we've had on here as well that joined in on, yeah, I'm just going to make this worse and worse for you, John. Everyone we've had is part of our community, but then we've got the broader community, which is all you guys. Even if you haven't been on camera with us, even if you haven't shown PowerPoint slides or been here in the room, you are part of this broad Diginterp community. Really, we are not a team of two.
And you guys know some of those really active members of the community.
Oh, yeah.
They're the people that post, ask a lot of questions, provide a lot of those answers that, you know, a lot of times when John says, hey, you should get on there and look at this, it's already been answered by somebody.
Right.
So, like, half the time, you know, the questions are answered.
Yeah, crafting.
And it's amazing, like, how quick, you know, the community can respond and be part of our whole team.
Crafting the content happens from the top down, from the bottom up, and from the middle outward. We are really a vibrant community. So when people look at our community, they think that it might even look like this. You know, with John and I as the team of two, then broad down. But it's not. In fact, I hate thinking of it like this. I hate thinking of myself and John at the top of something. That's stupid. It's not how the world works, and it's certainly not how the social world works. I like to think of our community more like this.
Wait, why is Amber in the top? Why is she floating above?
Well, it's a cloud.
Oh, okay.
It's a cloud. These are all the people. I was going to pull a bunch of pictures from Diginterp, but I didn't end up pulling a bunch of pictures from Diginterp. So imagine your face on one of those, and a bunch of your friends' faces on a bunch of those, and you've got our community. And what's awesome about this community, what I love about this community, is that this community is really democratic. Notice that John and I and Amber and everybody, yeah, we've got cachet. We're here sitting here at Mather. John's sitting over at Harpers Ferry Center. Amber's got, you know, the ears of the main hallway. But really, in the end, we don't have any power. Everybody has a similar power. This is a democratic impulse.
You guys are the ones posting.
Yeah, I mean,
you're the ones making this real.
Right.
John and I don't do much
yeah,
you know, posting.
We reply to stuff.
No, but I mean even posting on the Parks page.
Right.
You're the ones that are making that content really come to life, and it's part of that bigger community.
Right. So
doing the experimentation.
So something may push out from me to Amber, and then the ideas just keep filtering around and around and back and forth, and we all answer each other's questions. Like John said, if I say to him, oh, something's blowing up on Diginterp, by the time he gets there, it's usually solved, and it's not been solved by me or Amber or anybody that has, you know, the sainted privilege. It's been solved by you guys. This is the team we've created. We have created a team of nearly 2,000 engaged and interested interpreters who want to make the world a better place. Okay, so where does this work with the parks? Well, think of our tree again. We've got that, you know, everybody's using the same icon, so I could just dump it up there. Imagine that's your park. Up at the top, your site, your program, the place that you love. And we think that we broadcast out a message to our core fans. And then our core fans end up sharing that out on their pages and retweeting it into their streams, and it gets to the big, kind of massive super community, the world. But really, that ain't the truth. That's not how this works. This looks a lot different. In fact, it looks a lot more like what we're used to. Now, certainly, we do a lot of broadcasting. And that's one way that we have operated for a long time in the digital community. We've operated with that tree-based diagram. But it's not necessarily the native language of that community. In fact, when we're thinking about team building, we can magnify our parks teams in the exact same way that we magnify the Diginterp community. We can make massive power by simply changing the directions of the arrows, by listening more, by rebroadcasting what other people are putting into our streams, by inviting them to create meetings and to create vibrant communities. People care about our places. People care about parks. People care about sites. People care about history and nature. They care about the world around them. They care about the dead people. They care about everything. And they want to express that care. We should, you know, hand on the microphone. If we hand on the microphone, that's less content we have to make. As Mel down the hill here used to say, that's less work from other. It's less that we've got to do. If they can create, if they can be part of our active team, every visitor is an interpreter. Every visitor has the opportunity to share their powerful story and share their meaningful experience within this place. And we can just be the microphone. And that's so much more powerful. This all boiled down in my brain last week. Last week, I was walking 54 miles with the walking classroom down in Selma. From Selma to Montgomery, we walked over 5 days, 54 miles of the original march route with about 250 people. 75 of them were college students and postgraduates between the age of 18 and 25. We had a few high schoolers in there as well from Ferguson Florissant School District, from some that go to high school in a national park in Little Rock. We had businessmen, we had lawyers and law students, we had all sorts of amazing people. And then add on top of that the folks who weren't postgraduates, who were ministers and doctors and lawyers for the ACLU and graphic designers for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Everybody you can possibly imagine. By the second day, the flat hat did not matter. The badge did not matter. Sure, we were keeping people from getting hit by cars, and that's important. That's what the park ranger does. They make a safe container for something really powerful to happen in, but the power wasn't exuding from us. It wasn't exuding from the Arrowhead and the National Park Service. It was coming from the visitors themselves, who were sharing with one another the power of the experience. It was 10 times better than anything we could have ever tried to do. And it's impossible to explain exactly how powerful it was. You have to take the walk with me. You got to go on those 54 miles and be part of that community. To give you an idea, I can't have Facebook open today in the background because about every 25 seconds, I'm getting a notification in my Facebook that someone in the Facebook group that the visitors created has posted or commented on something with this community. These 250 people are a family now, and they are interpreting to one another. Imagine if you can take your entire park's Facebook following, your entire park's Twitter following, and make them into a family that loves and cares for each other, that respects each other, and then shares powerful moments with each other. That's where we're aiming. Now, you have to have a team to facilitate that. You got to have good folks that are looking at the content and are listening. And you have to have open ears. You can't just be broadcasters. The world of broadcast television is dead. It's gone. Broadcast television does not exist. Even that which we call broadcast television is not broadcast anymore. It has hashtags down in the corner. It has websites that broadcast alongside it and allow polls and graphics and pop-up video stuff and chat rooms. Everything is interactive. Everything is about interacting with the content, not just consuming it. We've got to start really giving the microphone away. So that team of two needs to become a heck of a lot. And sometimes that heck of a lot is right next to you. Sometimes that heck of a lot is folks you work with every day that wear the same uniform that you do, or wear a slightly different uniform than you do. Maybe they carry a gun on their belt, or maybe they carry a trowel in their hand, or maybe they drive a lawnmower. But that team has to be a heck of a lot. It can't just be you running the whole world for the sheer fact that your ears aren't large enough. You don't have big enough ears to listen to the community and elevate the cool stuff that's popping up there. Social media is social. And that goes for how we create our content and how we make it as well. We need to be social animals, which means we need to talk to one another. Communication is key, and your team should be absolutely limitless. Now you're going to have your core, and John's going to talk in just a minute about building that core, but the ethic behind it, the ethic behind that core is that everybody has a voice. It's the big tent. When you're talking about social media, you should be talking about creating, but also remaking and resharing. That's just as much, just as important as making something to send out there is finding the other somethings and promoting them, and then commenting on the other somethings and encouraging them. When you see someone remixing a photo from your park's archives and colorizing it and putting mustaches on guys or whatever they're doing that's pure joy because they love it, well, you gotta go in there and say, hey, that's awesome. and John is holding up a mustache. I'll make sure that gets on camera. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing our faces right now, but if they aren't, if you aren't, because I don't think you have cameraman open, so I think they've just been seeing slides, but that's okay. So that's what I've got, and we're going to start the nesting gram again. I'm going to stop the screen share. Come on.
Don't worry, we're back on. We're back with me.
There we go. All right. So I don't know how it reacts when there's two cameramen open. That's the problem.
We like to both be cameramen.
Yeah, we do.
It's one of those few struggle pieces we have. We'll have to add that under experimentation.
Yeah,
cameramen.
So yes, we've got our Director Jarvis mustaches here.
We can give it to you can another D. There you go. Look. Oh, look. See.
There we go. Hey. Whoa.
We'll make templates.
Yeah, we'll have to make a template for this soon. Now that we're going live with Find Your Park in just a few days, this is going to be it's going to be all about finding cool content out there and sharing it.
No capturing screen caps of this. Put it
oh yeah, no screen caps at all. We wouldn't want you to screen cap this at all. So really, it's going to be with the new social campaigns that we have coming, and we're going to talk all about the Centennial next month. But with the social campaigns, that's going to be a great opportunity for us to latch on to other people that are making meetings and bring them into the team. Bring them in and make them part of the community and say, hey, we love what you did. Here's the share of it. Go out there and make cooler stuff. Boom, 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 boom. You guys are not going to have a drought of content. I know that you've had that. Yeah, it's starting to flow literally instantaneously. It was starting to flow a month ago when the hashtag leaked. It was already starting, and we're just seeing that build and build, which is really exciting. You guys aren't going to have any problem finding content if you take the step of making the public members of your team. So that's the radical part. That's the philosophy part. How the hell do you do all this? How do you make all this work? Well, how do you build this team within your org structure? And John was just telling me, I'm making org charts a lot now. Yeah. Well, John's going to share with us one of those org charts he's been working on, kind of a philosophical org chart.
Yeah. So really, the idea here is really it's going back to that basic concept that we talked about. And if
sorry,
black stuff's gone. Oh my
there.
Underlines are gone. Well, sorry about the readability. We went from Mac to Windows, and it's weird. But it's okay. So really building a team, building your team, building the team at your park. And so this is, how do we build that team so that we can communicate with the rest of our, with the rest of the community? How can we make it so that we do have people thinking about the community we're building out there, not just the next post, which is the difference, right? We talk a lot about posts. Mm-hmm. John and I have presentations out the wazoo on that.
We remake them constantly.
We make them constantly, but do we have one on how do you engage? Do we have those things? Now, this is setting up the structure so that you can engage. Mm-hmm. Chat about how you can. A little bit further. Now, we did chat about that at the end of the last Digiturk course, and we talked about remaking that as a Digiturk dev. So you might be lucky and not have to take the whole course and get it here.
Well, and we'll be restructuring the Digiturk course soon. We'll probably have news for you on that next month too. So keep your eyes open for that one.
So roles really. So this breaking it down, just so you guys have it in black and white, so it's all just in white text on white. But we'll see how it works. The transfer was okay. So roles, there's always going to be a team leader, right? There's always going to be people that are leads, people that, it's in their PD to do this. And if it's not, make it that way. Get it into your PD. Get it into what your performance evaluation plan is. Get all those pieces put in so that so that those team leads are really empowered to be the team lead. You have content creators, which we're going to talk about all these. You have content providers, which we've talked about both of those a lot in Digiturk, but then we have these community managers, right? And then we have analytics folks. Now, do you guys all have all of these people? Of course not. They're way outside of what we should, this is like too many people. We don't usually have that many. There's only 2 of us.
Park budgets don't exist.
Only 1 of us, right? I don't have a social media person. It's So I'm sorry you can't read this, but I can read it. So I'm going to read it to you. Next time we do PDF. So team leaders, big picture, the team leaders, the person that executes the strategy. They're looking at that strategy piece. They're communicating up to management, and they're doing the day-to-day things. You know, maybe they are posting. Maybe they're the ones helping figure out where things go and thinking about the campaigns that could be pushed out. Like right now, every park's team leaders thinking about find your park. It's the same deal. They lead the team. They run the social media team meeting. You know, you should have a stand-up, little short, sit-down meeting where you go through these things.
Hey
The
guys,
team
what's
leaders,
happening?
essential. Content creator, yeah, we're just going to nix that. I'm just going to tell you. So content creator, you know, these are the people that are really, they're taking that content that's been created, that's been provided to them by other sources and building it into posts, right? Or chopping it up and building it into a lot of different posts. They're editing it. They're the ones that are looking at the photo, making it right. They're making, you know, they're pulling all the pieces together. Oh. I don't have my cheat sheet.
Just a second, I'm getting your cheat sheet back up.
Content providers are your next piece, though, right? So the content provider provides content for all the content creators. But those providers, you know, maybe they don't live, maybe they're not a big piece of the social media team, you know, maybe they're a person that's providing content. You probably already have them. They're people that are, you know, that are those people that come to you with a, hey, you know, this might be neat on Facebook. They're the person that follows you, that brings you photos, that takes pictures, that's the, you know, that's building, you know, that comes up with little text or is saying, you know, it'd be really neat if we saw something like this. I saw it on their page. Those little side content creators that are, you know, it's not in their full-time job. It's not what they're doing. You know, they're part of the social media big team that gets together as part of. But maybe they're just providing content. Maybe they're just helping you out, giving you pictures. They're the person scanning.
A good example of that just happened at Shiloh. They just had a post go massively viral, and it was a historic image that they held up by hand in front of, you know, we've talked about this technique over and over, holding historic images up by hand and overlaying it with the modern landscape. And what was cool about it was that it was a law enforcement officer who was out taking the photo. And just kind of did it and then sent it along to who it had to get up to. So it was another one of those kind of sourcing your content out to the people that are spending every day out in the field.
Yeah, the people that are in the park. I mean, maintenance, law enforcement, they're out there every day. You know, they, you know, probably don't always even have a desk with a computer that's just theirs. So their place is out in the park. They're the ones out there taking those pictures. They're out there at sunset when maybe you guys are all at home. Or not in front of your computer. They're there at, you know, at really interesting times when there's things going on that don't usually happen. Maybe, you know, and I don't mean we're going to post things where people are doing something odd in the park. What I mean is they're there when, you know, a whole herd of deer shows up out all around John Brown's Fort, like here at Harper's Ferry. You know, hopefully Michelle or Autumn can go down and capture that. But the law enforcement person's probably driving by and they're going to see that. So why not empower them to do that? Same thing with maintenance. Park folks are, you know, park communities are so interested in that maintenance side because they are, you know, that's people seeing people, you know, maintaining their park, fixing the things that they see, and that there's people doing that. And there's real people behind this. You know, it's not just magical thing that happens. But the role that really, and so those content providers, they push it up to those content creators that then are the people that are posting. But the community manager is really a key piece of this, right? The community manager is a person that's they're the person that's looking to engage with the visitor. You know, they respond to comments, they reshare content. They're always watching, is the term I would say. You know, they're the ones that are always looking at the, you know, looking at the page. They're the ones watching the notifications come in. Sometimes this community manager is the person that's sitting there and they're just watching the comments come in at 11 o'clock at night even for things. A good balance. That multiple people can wear these hats, but you know, they're the person that's really thinking about how they engage with visitors. Some parks do this really regularly, and I would go out and look at those. You know, go look at a whole bunch of different parks. Some parks respond to comments. And it's a great thing. You know, I know Yellowstone does, Cape Hatteras does, and Harpers Ferry does. There's a whole bunch of parks, and I'm sure tons of other parks will tell me that they are probably. Lots of parks do it. It's engaged. That's instant engagement, right? And then resharing some people's posts. We know that Arches reshares a lot of people's photos. And it's really key. It's a really key piece, to be part of that. You have to set up sort of a standard operating procedure for that sort of stuff. You have to set up like, okay, so what's the rule? Are we going to let people? We're not going to repost things that have watermarks on it. Okay, that's cool.
Now we know.
We're not going to repost things that have links that lead back to a place where you just purchased the photo.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. So then we know how that we can do those sort of things. But if it's an article about your park or about the theme of your park that's on a newspaper or something and it's logical, we post pictures of old newspapers all the time. So why not? The other piece is analytics. Now, of course, we don't even have a full-time analytics person at the service, let alone for your park. Now, if you can afford to have a full-time analytics person in your park, let me know, and we'll chat about that. Actually, analytics is a great thing to actually have a university person help you with, an intern, even working with a professor that does some of these things, a person that's doing social media in general. It's a really great asset to use. They're thinking about that. They can do a lot more research on it. They'll run your numbers in different ways. But also, there's just some basic analytics you can look at to see when things should be posted, what could happen. And it doesn't have. It's not an everyday thing. It's not even a weekly thing. If you have analytics sent to you every single week, it's probably not the best idea. I want to share that. So it's the best. It's not probably the best idea to do that constantly. To do that, because you're not going to be able to look at real trends. Trends, if you do it by quarter or by 6 months, you can do that. So roles, though, are roles, right? We could set up an org chart where we show everybody what role they play, but how do we make it really happen? And so you have one other piece, too, is you want to reach out a little further, too. You have partners, concessioners, volunteers, the community. You have the local CVB. You have some of these folks that are part of your park who do a lot of content creation, and maybe that's how you get your page done. Maybe that's how you make content. Maybe that's who's building things for you. Maybe that's your de facto other team lead in some function. Maybe they're the only other person you have that's really putting a lot of things out there that can help you develop content and push your content in multiple places. So let's talk about this a little bit. Here's that weirdo org chart thing we were talking about. So let's imagine a perfect park. Now we'd add like 18 more people onto here, right? We'd have a videographer and a person that's their full-time job is taking photos. You'd have the John Rudy theoretical guy thinking about what else we could do. You'd have some sort of app manager building some sort of crazy app that does something different. Well, that's not reality. But this isn't reality either, right? We don't have there isn't 5 people that are going to be assigned tasks with a 6th person for analytics. We just don't have that in our park. Now, you could do job duties and things like that for people, but what's going to end up happening is you end up being on multiple hats. So sometimes those things collapse, right? So maybe your team leaders, the community manager, and the content provider are all maybe one person. Your partner and your local tourism people moved up a little bit there, if you notice. They go up in the cloud a little bit. They're more part of your team than maybe some of your content providers in the other areas. It all depends on how you're set up. But you have to think about these as roles. These roles are provided by different people, and this is how you can get the job done. If you're just trying to pull content by yourself off of web pages and other places, you're going to run out. The well's going to go dry. Or
the energy's just going to drop on your part.
Well, and your energy's going to dive. Right, exactly. And it's like, how do you get the energy to do this? Now, we do have our community in Diginter that can help with some of the energy piece and thinking of new ideas. But really, that can only go so far. They're not part of your story. They're not part of your resource. We have other people, too, partner parks. There are places that share a story with you that you can work on with campaigns. But day-to-day grind pieces is really, we need to build a team around how you're going to function this. Now, you definitely want more than one person doing the dailies, right? We definitely want, just like John and I talked about, a team of 2 doesn't work either. A team of 3, you're getting close. That works well. But a team of 1, even with planning in the long run, is not sustainable. And so how do we build it out so that we actually, so really you have to think, plan, and pull out how you're actually going to do this, how you're going to run it, and who's good at it, right? Like you saw John and I divided up our tasks, right? Those were roles that we both play as we design these things. We have this list of roles that we make for this, like John's probably a better community, some function might be a better community manager. I might be a better content creator, let's say, on my end, and that's how we might share those duties, but we can both do both things. And then we need a third person to help us with content providing, right? And that can back both of us up when one of us is out or sick or, hey, it goes on a detail.
And you're used to this. You're used to doing this out in the field all the time. I mean, you have folks on your team that are better at this and not as good at that, and better at this and not as good as that. And the folks that are really great at informal visitor contact man the desk, and the folks that are really great at giving conducted activities give conducted activities. And good managers will leverage the skills of their team because that's what decreases the stress of your team. So if any of you need to, rewind the video a little bit and show it to your manager just to say, we need the help. And leverage us just like you might leverage the folks that are good at this, that, or the other thing. We need a team. We need a powerful team.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only way you're going to get this done. It's not for social either. I mean, there's also a team that's needed for web and for, and to make any of these other products that you're making in a digital space real. You're up there now, John. Oh. Sorry. So the biggest role is really the entire park. The audience is interested in the whole park. They're interested in all the cross-discipline piece, right? Not just inter or public affairs. They want to know about what's happening in maintenance and cultural resources. We want to engage seasonals. We want to engage interns. We want to engage volunteers as part of our team.
And visitors.
And visitors, right? And the third part is the visitors. So we have these layers of people that we should engage to build this larger team. So your core team, the people that are going to meet, there's no reason why we don't have those folks that are on the desk in those places. So the thoughts really go into it. The core team posts. Not everyone needs to be a publisher or a poster. That's a pressure you can take off people. And that's how you can get content providers to be part of it, right? You don't need the maintenance worker or the LE to actually be on Facebook or on Twitter or comfortable on Instagram. There's no reason for it. And there's no reason to make them feel like that they need to post at a certain time, they need to learn all the rules. Just let them give you content. Let them push it out to you. Let them give you a stack of photos from the archive that has all the data and all the dates and all the pieces in it, and you can take those, maybe even let them write some generic post stuff, right? And you can go ahead and you can edit them, you can modify them, and then you get them ready for each of the places you want to post it. So getting a content provider, taking off that, it makes people nervous. I talk to people all the time that get nervous about providing content and about posting content. And really, it's better just to take off some of that. There's no reason to take it off. Like, we don't ask maintenance worker to give a range program, right? There's no reason to ask them to do posting. Now, if they're comfortable with it, if they're in cultural resources, they're comfortable with it, I'm all for it. I'm fine with that.
They're excited about it.
They're excited about it, and they're good at it. Everybody has good skills. Some people are better at other things, just like we talked about a second ago, and some people are better at others. So there's no reason not to do that.
And it's interesting because there's a bunch of different ways you can make that happen too. I mean, you can do that. You can make functionally. Isn't there in Facebook? There's a drafter role or something like that, where you can draft posts, but you can't actually publish them.
Yes, it's like
and then. Yeah. There are parks that have created, I helped Harper's Ferry create tools, and so we've got a few of those tools. Okay, so just a second, I got to share again.
John keeps on sharing my presentation because he likes the other camera. So really, there are these tools, and let's talk about this for a sec, though. So many mice. And this is just bringing it up. I just shot this today. Glacier has they talk to their community about their social media team. It goes back to what John was talking about. I did a search on nps.gov though for these, and lo and behold, there are probably about 20 or 30 of these pages up here that tell you to meet the social media team. It's a great thing. It's a good thing for people to know who's out there and what people are posting and who's posting behind them. It's not a bad thing, And so there are parks. You can go see their team, how big their team is. You can see what those pieces are if you want to go get examples of this, Bill's right on top here, but there's a whole bunch of other people in here from cultural resources, natural resources. I think there's a person from maintenance. All inside of this, all inside their social media team. So you can see how other parks and how the social media team works.
What's the best way to find those pages? How are you finding
I just search
pages?
social media team, search on nps.gov and look for all results.
Awesome.
And now here's an example, and I actually talked to Dave this morning, and something we talked about at Indepth, at Indepth itself, is to set up a social media submission function, so that these content creators can build it out. They can say what day they might want to post it. It builds a calendar automatically. It builds a submission thing. A lot of other parks have taken off with this and built their own. We've got some forms that we built for the national office similarly. We've got some forms that will launch soon, and we have some forms that I know Harper's Ferry's been playing with. It's really easy to make these things. The beauty of what Outer Banks did is they make it really accessible to anybody. So everybody can come in their park and look at it. They can see what day and what time things are going to be posted and how they're going to be posted. It's a great function. It's got a great back end to it. It's really simple. They even have the statistics pulling in automatically. They have the media for it. They have a library of other things. They have submissions. I mean, it's a really great idea of how this whole this function works. And we're gonna do a little webinar. It'll be separate from Indepth. Indepth. We'll call it Indepth something else. I don't know what. How to, or we'll figure out some catchy name between now and when we do it. John's gonna write down catchy name. Need to come up with. So. It'll be a quick one too. It won't be as long as our regular Indepth, but we'll do that. Other resources you have out there though are, Indepth, the Facebook group, which is what people call Indepth. And when they say Indepth, they mean that, not John and I or anything else.
Right.
They mean this thing, the NPS digital community. If you don't know where that is, go onto Google and search digital community onto the Google Sites area. Go under Gmail, hit sites and search for digital community. It'll pop up. This is where all the massive stuff is for social media and for nps.gov and for anything else. There's a lot of things on here. And as you see, it's actually a funny thing. I didn't notice this till now. Do you see something on that screen, John, that's pretty neat related to today? Well, this little test for John. No, you can see it from without moving that. A word about team.
Oh yeah, your digital team. Hey.
So you can learn about all the people that are part of that national digital team. You can't click it.
I was just putting the arrow next to it.
Yeah. And then there's the internet.
Go figure.
What a great resource.
It's a series of tubes.
It's a great resource out there. It pretty much looks like this. It's kind of like John's office. Either one of our offices.
Yeah.
So the
Hi, Pot.
There we go. The internet, though, of course, can't say this enough. Google it.
Yeah.
Look on YouTube
or Yahoo it, or Bing it, or whatever you want, whatever brand you like.
Whatever you feel like.
Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dogpile.
That probably.
What else? Yeah. No, it's
AOL might have
your answer doesn't have to come, and this goes back to the idea of finding content from our visitors. Your answer doesn't have to come from an arrowhead. You can find out how to make a YouTube video from other folks out there that are having fun making YouTube videos, and oftentimes their techniques and their ideas are 10 times better than the weird stuff that we'll come up with for an answer for you.
And you'll be surprised too. I mean, the biggest thing with any of these things, okay, here's a great example. The latest thing is everybody keeps asking me about Periscope.
Periscope, yes.
You haven't seen Periscope. There she is. Periscope, what should we do with it? How can we do it? And all this other stuff. I'm like, it's been out for, what, a few days?
Yeah, like a week maybe.
A handful of days. I don't know. People are still figuring out what to do with it, how it works, and what the best idea is, how we'll produce it, how we publish it. And it's part of Twitter. DOI more or less said it's okay because it's part of Twitter's terms, and so hook it up and You can always try it. It's another social media thing. Of course, think about a strategy for it. You can experiment. Think about how you'll use it. What is it? Is it really good to walk around the headquarters building with your iPhone, or should you drive out and do it at a overlook?
Scenic overlook, yeah, or
should
a cannon.
you follow a ranger on a whole program? So one of the great things they did experimentally with their team is they went out and they followed a National Park Service ranger around the National Mall. Worked out great.
I'm already thinking of random ideas just sitting here of weird stuff you could do. I want to strap one to my chest now this summer and go down and do a gun program here in the park. So you can see the gun firing from literally my viewpoint. That would be so cool. We can take visitors into experiences we can't necessarily take them into, but it's all imagination. So this gets down to that ethic that John and I share. That's core for all of this is the ethic of experimentation. And I mean, before this existed, before Periscope existed, John's been texting me about Periscope, and I was marching 54 miles. So I haven't, and I did Meerkat because Meerkat was live before Periscope was live. So I'm sitting here going Meerkat, 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 and suddenly there's this new thing called Periscope, literally the next week. So you just have to keep up with the trends, and when you see something new, go okay. Not I'm afraid of it, and not I need to get permission for it, but really I want to figure out how I can use this and how I can use it cool. And if you go over to John Tobiason's Twitter stream right now, you can actually catch him periscoping. I almost said meerkatting. Periscoping.
Hey, look, you can
our Diginterp.
Oh, you get the behind the scenes.
So yeah, I don't know if is anybody watching it yet.
Shush.
What is your at? What is your?
We're doing great.
Are you at John Tobiason?
Yeah, at John Tobiason.
At John Tobiason. So if you open up a new tab, don't close this one because then you'll lose us. Yet, though. But if you head over to at John Tobiason,
we'll leave it up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll keep it going. In fact, why don't you just set your phone right there and point it at us, and we can leave it going for the rest of the time. But we can. But yeah, it's amazing what you can use this technology for. This technology can take you to massive places. So at John Tobiason is Twitter. So if you're still
what's your Twitter though, just in case you want to.
At TJJohn12 is my Twitter.
These are our personal.
There are personal Twitters, but
there's no reason to have
functionally, we're really kind of, we're okay with that. I was meerkatting from the Edmund Pettus Bridge on my personal Twitter when we were marching across it. It was really cool. I think I had at most 15 or 16 viewers. I didn't do any press on it, didn't tell anybody it was going, but I just basically put it out there on my personal Twitter, and it worked out perfectly. Yeah, and it's interesting that I don't want to look there anymore. I want to look here. It's just the digital impulse as things keep moving.
Darn
from
iPhone.
YouTube to iPhone. So
always magical, in,
magical little screens. We need duct tape is the problem. So this is one of the cool things that you can do when you're building a team is that John can text me and literally say, "Have you looked at Periscope?" And I go, "No, what the heck are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about." And suddenly I'm able to keep my ears open to a different part of the technical realm. A different place in the technical realm that I didn't keep my ears open to. And I bring weird crap to John all the time and say, "Hey, have you seen this? Have you seen this?" And he goes, "No, you're crazy."
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. Oh, it got boing boing 3 weeks ago. Yeah, as soon as it's boinged, I saw it. But
no,
but that's because you're a techno snob. It's fine.
We lost our viewer.
We lost a viewer. So, anyways,
thank you.
So yeah, thanks whoever that was. Great seeing you. Hopefully we catch some more. But yeah, this is it's a fascinating technical world we live in, and it requires a team, and it requires your visitors too, paying attention to where they're sharing your content. If they are Snapchatting your content, maybe we should start talking up the ladder to say, okay, where might we use Snapchat interpretively, and can we work with the OI to get terms of service for Snapchat? I don't understand Snapchat. I need to start understanding it because it's probably where not we, but where we as a culture are going to start heading. As we were marching 54 miles, the number of the younger folks, I mean, people my own age too, when I say younger folks, who were Snapchatting their experience, not Facebooking or tweeting it, was just fascinating to imagine. And it was flabbergasting to me that I went, oh, I don't know what that is. I need to figure out what that is and why you would want to do it, because I thought it was just instant messaging.
Or even the whole idea of, just that how much they're doing these things versus even like the amount that you or I do it. You know, like John. I mean, John tweets, but he doesn't tweet that much, and I don't. I tweet depending if I'm at things like that. But some people, a lot of people are tweeting. That's all. That's their social. You know, that's where they're at. That's where they're pushing. That's where they're popping.
And my social has been Facebook for a very long time. I've had the same Facebook avatar on and off. I mean, I've replaced it for like a day or two here since I joined Facebook in 2004.
He's Benjamin Franklin.
So I've been Benjamin Franklin
lying
for over a decade.
In his slides, he was kind of lying that it really shouldn't have been your picture with the Mickey Mouse.
Well,
hat.
true. I was trying to make it look fun.
Yeah.
So you can tell from the way that John and I banter, and you guys know this already, from the way that John and I banter, that we make a good team.
From the way John and I banter.
From the way John and I banter. We make a good team. And this is the type of relationship that you need to start fostering if you're going to have a really vibrant social media experience for visitors. And that's really what this is all about, is offering visitors the chance to virtually visit a place and have a really meaningful experience. And sometimes that's a consumption experience, sometimes it's a sharing experience, sometimes it's both, sometimes it's neither. Sometimes it's something completely weird. But having a good team and building that team is your definite first step.
Yep.
And building a collegial relationship within that team is so important. You guys got to get along. You got to have fun in order to help other folks have fun. And yeah, go to lunch. That's what John and I end up doing. Burritos.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
No, I have a meeting.
Yeah, it's a little late. All right. Well, on that bombshell, we shall leave you. But thank you for joining us here on Diginterp today. And we will see you next month. Same bat channel, different bat time. It's always a different day of the week. And hopefully next month we will have some news on the future of the Central Digital Interpretation class. And we'll have a slate of the next few Diginterp Indepth courses. And now that I promised that to you, you guys are going to hold me to that. So John and I are going to have to hash that out in the next week or two to figure out exactly what we're going to talk about over the course of the summer. As a lot of our sites start hitting their busy season and start doing some really cool stuff.
And if you have an idea for what you want us to talk about, shoot us put it in the comments, either here or throw it over in Diginterp Indepth. Maybe we'll start a thread over there.
Yeah, in fact, you can leave it. You can leave it on the Facebook thread for this video too.
Yep. Give us a heads up of what you're thinking and what you want to know.
Yeah. What's really stressing you guys out?
You know, if you want to know more about some things that aren't about social exactly, we can do more digital things on apps or on 3D printing or on
He threw that one in for Michelle down the hill here.
How to periscope or just thinking about periscoping, doing things live a little bit more. You know, we can do a lot of different ideas, a lot of different thoughts. So give us a heads up, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yes, we will. Thank you for joining us here on Diginterp Indepth. Happy kickoff of the centennial, and we will see you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.